Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na number 15 day, Wednesday for this month of March 2023. My name na Capo Daniel, una own countryman, Mr. No Connie, Ambazonian FBI. Una welcome to another episode of our daily podcast. The background song na a video image emerging from John Frundi, the loser, dancing the battlegrounds. Pa, he then returned back for quarter life. Una welcome to our daily podcast, a program where they bring una the truth, where they bring una meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we work out for this journey to our freedom, the independence of Ambazonia. But before we get into that, which is fresh in the mind of Ambazonians at home and abroad, the downfall of John Frundi and the burial of the SDF, Social Democratic Front Party. But before we get to that, we want to congratulate the Bamenda Brigade for the operation we carried out yesterday for Insa Mulang, and for two other places them where they use their sniper rifle them for attack the enemy and the occupation forces for the capital of our resistance for Bamenda.
We don't attack them, they answer so boom for them.
It was a quick and swift use of our sniper rifle, the new introduction into Bamenda, the ADF sniper unit. La République du Cameroon have focused its protection with buildings of new barracks in the center of the capital of our resistance in Bamenda. We shall live up to the occasion. Ambazonian fighters have been distracted for the most part by Ambazonians' political scavenger, who, instead of focusing on helping efforts on the ground to fight against the enemy, are busy calling soldiers up and down, come and join me, fight for my side, no fight for his side. Ambazonians on the ground must refocus their attention against the political enemy. Soldiers should remain soldiers and keep politics for politicians. The colonial election have come and go. Their success in organizing these particular elections was predictable because this is not a general elections. La République could easily gather their few groups of impostors into one college, into one state, into one location and perform this their charade of an election with unelected officials posing themselves as representatives of councils to participate. It is a charade, it has no legitimacy, and it will not make up for legitimacy for La République du Cameroon lack of concern from the Ambazonian people to rule or govern our territory. It will not replace their over 85% of loss of administrative control of Ambazonia. It will not be returned to them in any shape or form because of this charade of an election. Nevertheless, Ambazonians should arm themselves and prepare for a new phase of our liberation movement. As the darkness of the SDF has been put behind us, we shall be able to focus on the real enemy, which is La République du Cameroon. We want to draw the attention of our people that there is a new effort because the Ambazonian forces have placed a blind eye on technical education. GTHS Bamenda, in particular, have been forcing students to put on uniforms that adds to salt to the injury of a Cameroon colonial government school being allowed to run in our town. Any students who put on uniform to go to GTHS Bamenda, who is not even supposed to go there in the first place, will be doing so at their own risk, as actions is imminent to stop that school and also to hold the perpetrators of these violations into account. A word to a wise is sufficient. Ambazonian forces will be taking actions to revive and strengthen the pillars of our liberation movement. The Cameroon occupation forces have abandoned huge part of our territory that they usually had controlled statically, and Ambazonia will have to focus on the areas where they are now focusing their attention in, which is the urban area. Fellow Ambazonians, I've received a lot of feedback from ground zero, in particularly from some of our elites who have been asking the issue with the betrayal and the failure of Ni John Frundi and the Social Democratic Front. It has failed not just as a political leader, as a political party. It has betrayed our people. This is not a victory for the CPDM because we know Paul Biya is a dictator, a colonial state that has total control of La République du Cameroon. John Frundi's Social Democratic Front that has the vast majority of our votes and the support of all the laymen gave hope for the people of Ambazonia and Cameroon for the possibility of change, the end of an era of lawlessness, dictatorship, brutal disappearance of political opponents and freedom. John Frundi became the hope of many. The failure of John Frundi, the disappointment we find in John Frundi, is not just that of a political party that seeks to operate within the constitution of La République du Cameroon, as one would have expected a registered political party to do. The failure and betrayal of Frundi is that a person whose career has relied upon the hope of the people did not just fail to represent the people, which we did not expect him to represent, but he, as a political leader, as the helm of the main opposition party, failed to define the issues of the day, which is the demand of the Ambazonian people. John Frundi and the Social Democratic Front have refused to acknowledge and articulate, which is their duty as a political party, that the people of Ambazonia wants independence and separation. To properly define the issue gives the people a chance for a proper debate and shields them from the criminalization of their aspiration by the state of Cameroon. No one expected John Frundi to support separation. No one expected a political party registered in La République du Cameroon to support separation. But it is their duty to identify the problem. It is their duty to articulate and speak for the base from which they have built their political careers and reputation. It was their duty to stand up and tell the world that the people of Ambazonia wants independence and separation, whether they support it or not. If you cannot speak for the people, if you cannot express the mindset of the people and the demand of the people, it is both a betrayal and a failure. With all the criticism of Christian Kadinatumi, he at least identified the problem. He at least spoke for the people who could not speak for themselves. He told the world he did not only speak, but through his scientific poll, proved to President Paul Biya and the rest of the world that 98% of the people of Ambazonia wants separation and independence. That is the right thing to do. That is the responsible thing to do. The opposition party, Social Democratic Front, even its effort led in the Parliament of La République du Cameroon by Honorable Joseph Weber was rejected by his own party, who did not even identify the problem, but seeks to point the root causes and seek to point the symptoms, was even rejected by his own party. SDF is a failure. SDF, John Frundi, is part of the reason why this war have taken long time and part of the reason why the international community have not been able to intervene. After the Ambazonian organizations have petitioned, have lobbied the international community and the Commonwealth about our problem and our struggle, an envoy in the persons of Patricia Scotland was dispatched to the Cameroons to see for themselves and listen for themselves what the politicians, the legitimate and legalized politicians have to say. John Frundi, head of the political party, Social Democratic Front, went and lied and pushed his agenda of federation instead of identifying and giving a proper report to Patricia Scotland about what the people were fighting for and the demand of the people. John Frundi was demanding for help for his political party for federation. He failed and he worked for Paul Biya to shield his administration from defining the issue. Even the so-called religious leader who were there with him in that 7 months delegation that met Patricia Scotland, who have also been corrupted were amazed and shocked by the level of dishonesty of John Frundi. John Frundi is a sellout. His Royal Highness, the President of the Republic of Ambazonia, Fon Gojidinka, in all his petition to the United Nations, had came back with the proposition that if Ambazonians parliamentarians were to withdraw themselves from the Cameroon's legislature, just like they did in Onugu, it is going to have serious ramification and put at the core of the international community the plight of our people for absolute separation as a result of the denial of an Ambazonian to be able to ascend to power as president during the failed elections in the 1990s. John Frundi rejected that proposition, even though he became a party leader as a result of the work of the people like Godidinka, Professor Carson Anyangwe, who worked hard to build and set up the SDF Social Democratic Front. John Frundi is a failure, is a betrayer, and a sellout. One would have argued that the blame list go on and on. Even Honorable Joseph Weber, who like a lion man spoke for our people, did not listen to himself. Honorable Weber spoke the truth but failed to listen for himself. He did not resign. For time and again, Ambazonians have been let down by those who they look up to, but who have turned to their own personal benefit. But today, thanks to the Never Again generation, the Ambazonian plight will continue be raised by the selfless separatists who speaks for the voiceless in the diaspora. I want to draw the attention of our people when our people were still in Onugu, when in March, John Boja, who was part of Jongus Foncha's KNDP, decides to switch sides to make sure that they have a balance in power and join the opposition party of Ndele. It was a selfless move, and he explained his reason was because the party of the KNDP was not keeping its election promises of separation from Nigeria, but was working under the ground to unite Ambazonia with La République du Cameroun. That was what gave Ndele the power that have saved Ambazonia. Till today, the people of Ambazonia have been abandoned time and time again. If for 5 years, the CPDM, occultic regime of Paul Biya, have had the aid of the shield of people like Frundi and the Social Democratic Front to blindfold the international community, that blind spot have been removed today. We shall face the enemy. Are we up to the task? Ambazonia must buckle their bear, buy more guns, arm their soldiers, and focus on one enemy and one enemy alone, La République du Cameroun. Capo Daniel, signing off.